Okay, we're on the west side of the house. This is the electric meter, and it's sealed on 3 sides below grade. This is the grounding rod. Now the grounding rod is supposed to be buried 8 feet, not 7 feet 6 inches. Okay, so it's just a little bit high there. Now in my house, it satisfied the code instructor. This is not my house, but the electrician was able to demonstrate that there was enough resistance so that it satisfied the code inspector. I don't know if that happened here or not. All I know is the rod is supposed to be buried, and the local jurisdiction having authority, I don't know what the ruling is on that. Now this electric receptacle outlet, okay, that's not a disconnect. That's a service outlet, and that's for the air conditioning equipment over here. It can be on this side of the gate. Okay, as long as we have a gate right here, it can be there. An electric disconnect, such as these for the air conditioners, they're supposed to be within sight of the units. That same rule does not apply to the receptacle. This is the main shutoff, okay, main electric shutoff. So in reality, this is your main panel, and the sub panel would be in the garage. We call them second panels. So you see how these L1 and L2 have a protective cover over them? That's the only cover required. It's ironic. It's not required here. It's not required in the garage. But it's the only one that's required, the one that's one right here. And then we have some sealant coming down. This is a control joint. We got gaps in this joint. And then also we got some gaps on this side of the electric. That's your electric meter. That's the electric power coming into the house. Look at that gap. You think water can get in there? My pen can get in there. Water can get in there. I almost lost my pen in there. Okay. So moving on along. This is the bonding for the house. It's a U-tape. Number 4. Inside, the garage house faces north. Inside the garage west wall. There it is. And it's labeled here. This is your sub panel. Okay? Or your main service panel is what I'm going to call it. Alright? This location is supposed to be labeled inside of this panel. I get it. You can see it right there. You can even see it even better when I turn it around upside right, and you can read that the spelling is wrong. These do not require the protective booties. I know, it's kind of crazy. I want to write it up, but I can't. I mean, I could as a best practices or something. Okay, these are called twist outs, knockouts, call them what you will. We got an open knockout right in here. You think fire can jump up through that hole? I do. These wire nuts, they're not supposed to be in contact with the panel cover. Alright, and then the cabinet, we're not supposed to have wood shavings inside the cabinet. That can catch fire. And then the cabinet right here, it was screwed in. Screws are tighter, screws are faster, I get that. Screws do not have the sheer strength that nails do. You ever try to tear apart a tree house? Man, those kids knock those things together, they're indestructible. Screws are faster and tighter. If this structure were to experience a tornado, for example, your whole house is going to get blowed up. I get that. Your garage is going to be blowed up. All that's blowed up. I get that. But if this house was to experience an event like a tornado, this cabinet would stand a better chance of staying securely in place or safely in place. It'd at least have a fighting chance if it would have been nailed in instead of screwed in, like it was supposed to have been. This is all your labeling. This is fine. This is fine. So what do we learn? We learned we got a gap. The grounding rod's not buried properly, and we got a gap by the electric meter over here. Remember? Remember that gap over there? Okay. We also learned that the cabinet was screwed in instead of nailed in. We learned that we got some wood shavings inside of the panel. We learned that we got wires touching the cabinet panel cover. See this dead men right here? You know why they're there? It's called a guideline. It's called a clue. They want the wires back behind those. They just like, well, you know what? We got a little extra plastic. Okay. So we learned that our wires are touching the cabinet. We learned that we've got an open knockout. It was screwed into place. We got sawdust. We learned that we got a gap outside and a grounding rod that begs to be questioned.